Hey, and welcome to Hooked for Life with Mary Beth Temple. When I attended the Craft and Hobby Show in January of 2016, I saw a beautiful chenille teddy bear. The artist told me not only had she made the bear, but she had also created the chenille fabric out of cotton fabric. Well, I was very taken by the technique, and I'm going to try it right here on camera. So let's move through this video and look at all the steps to making your very own cotton chenille fabric. Let's get started. I want to show you the type of fabric I used in case you want to use exactly what I did. It's Osnaburg fabric and the manufacturer is Rocklon. I have seen this by the yard at various craft chain stores. The important part is that it's 100% cotton, and you can see from the fabric it's a relatively loose weave. To make chenille, we want the fabric to fray, so a loose weave is important. All I did was cut 4 pieces the same size. I'm just going to try and do a square because I honestly have never tried this before and I want to see how it goes. I stacked my 4 pieces up and then I ran a ruler from one point to the other and drew a line. I just used a pencil because at the end of the day you're not going to see the back of the fabric anyway, and this is definitely the back of the fabric. Once again, instead of getting crazy with measuring, I just drew a line every ruler width away. Now of course this wouldn't work if you had an insanely wide ruler, but for the one I had lying around it works out perfectly fine. Next, I'm going to take this stack of fabric over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew along each line through all 4 layers, point to point, with a relatively tight stitch. I'll be right back and show you what that looks like. So we're back. I took my pieces over to the sewing machine and I ran 1 line of seaming down each line that I had drawn. Now, I said earlier I didn't want my lines to be too close together, and here's why. Now I want to add a second set of lines. To do that, now I have a clear ruler, so that's not going to be so hard to figure out. I'm going to line up my ruler so that I can see right through the middle that it's straight. Now, even if your ruler is not clear, yours probably has holes or whatnot down the middle. So just line up the ruler so that you can see that the seam is running straight through the center and put a line on either side. Once again, I'm just using a pencil. It didn't seem worthwhile going crazy with a marking stick because I'm not going to be able to see it anyway. From there on out, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Line up the ruler width along the line and draw the next line. So I'm going to go ahead and keep drawing, and when I'm done drawing, I'm going to run another set of seams, and they'll be interspersed between the ones I already did. And back the other way. So I'm going to finish my marking, finish my sewing, and I'll meet you right back here. Here we are back again. For the purposes of this video, I stitched my alternating lines in a different color thread so you could see how I did it. So the beige threads are the threads I originally stitched, the red ones are the new ones. Now you can see that my lines were not perfect because honestly it's hard to draw and make a video at the same time, but thankfully I sew more straight than I draw, so it looks pretty good on the front. So if you were making a project right now, I would say use all one color of thread, but in this case, because I wanted to show you what I was doing, I used more than one. Now comes the tricky part. You're going to cut. Now you want to have a relatively pointy pair of scissors, and you do not want to cut the bottom layer. The bottom layer, no matter how many layers you put on the top, the bottom layer is what holds it all together. So you're going to cut halfway between each line, but make very sure that you do not cut the bottom layer, because the bottom layer is the base. Now, it seems like these scissors could possibly be a little sharper for cutting through 3 layers of fabric, but these were the pointiest ones I had to hand. But you can see once you get started, it's not so difficult. You want to keep the bottom layer intact and cut the top layers. Now I'm going to do this in between every single row of stitching. So every time there's stitching, I'm going to cut on either side. I'm going to keep it as straight as I can, but if it's not perfect, it's not the end of the world. So let me go make some more cuts off camera, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's all cut. And here it is with all my lines cut. You can see that my bottom layer is still in there and still sturdy, but I've cut between every single line of stitching and I've cut through the top 3 layers. The next step is to throw this whole bad boy into the washing machine. We don't want to be delicate and hand wash. We want to throw it into the washing machine, maybe with a load of towels or a load of jeans. I wouldn't put it in with anything nice because a lot of little fuzzies are going to come off. But what we want to happen is for all of these edges to fray in the washing machine. So the next step is the washing machine, in my case with a load of towels, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like then. And here it is, straight out of the washing machine. I just ran it through the wash with my towels. You can see that it frayed like crazy, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. And it's starting to pull up towards each other. The two sides on either side of the seam are pulling up towards each other. So now my one last step is to throw this into the dryer with those towels, let it run really hot, and let it tighten up a little bit. So there it is on the back. And there it is on the front. We're almost done. And here it is right out of the dryer. Running it through the dryer made all the little edges turn up while it was drying. It shrunk a tiny bit, but made all the stitching tighter, which is a good thing. And it looks like just a regular chenille fabric that you would buy in the store, except we made it ourselves. Now, I think that what this piece of fabric wants to be is a pot holder, but that's another video. Thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate seeing you guys stop by. And please consider subscribing to the channel, giving us a like or a comment, and stay tuned for more sewing, crocheting, knitting, and general craft videos here on Hooked for Life with Mary Beth Temple. Bye, guys.